7 hours of content is what somebody needs to consume roughly in order to make a buying decision.
You don't need to learn ads. What you need to learn is consistency, hard work, pumping out fucking creatives that have ICP market fit every fucking week.
I do not want cheap leads. I want to be able to afford to spend the most money I possibly can to acquire a client.
Welcome to Scale Simple. I'm Sebastian and I'm here with Jeff. Here we talk about scaling your coaching business to 7 or 8 figures while actually keeping the profit. Because here's the thing, most companies sacrifice 70 to 80% of their revenue to bloated ad spend, big teams, or tools they don't need. So we show you how to keep most of your money using hybrid social funnels where organic content and paid ads work together, not against your profit. That's what we talk about here. We share all the specific strategies and what's working right now that you can implement into your business. Market sophistication means that the people are more aware of what solutions are out there. So they're more educated. They understand, maybe I need somebody to help me with my sales, my marketing. They've looked at different kinds of offers. There's more knowledge out there in general. So now when you're closing these people, you cannot just follow your script. It's like when we talked about, I don't know, you have the little client that you got to close and then suddenly you get this enterprise client. You got to deal differently with him. You can't be like, give me your credit card right now, because there's probably fucking board and purchase orders and whatever the fuck. And if your salesperson doesn't know what a PO is and how to deal with an enterprise client, and he's going to be like, oh, you've got to deposit now. You got to pay me $2,000 right now to call. Then you're going to lose the fucking deal because he's going to think you're an imbecile and you're like, this doesn't make sense. That is for me what market sophistication means and what I believe is just a sales problem in itself. It's not a market problem or whatever. It's just how you educate your closers.
We were talking about this post that I saw on Facebook by a highly respected marketer. He was talking about how there's no trust recession and how it's only to do with market sophistication, which is why people can't get VSLs to work. And yet, on the other hand, you've got Iman, Gadzhi, Alex Hormozi, Sabri Subi, all talking about the fact that there is a trust recession. I would argue that those three together have more combined knowledge than most other marketers in the high ticket space since the dawn of time. And they are all talking about a trust recession. They are all saying your marketing has to do way more of the heavy lifting for you. For me, it's like, yeah, market sophistication plays a part in how well that funnel converts. But you can't deny that there is a distinct lack of trust. We know that from Google's data, from Google's 7-11-4 data. 7 hours of content is what somebody needs to consume roughly in order to make a buying decision. 7 hours.
Yeah.
Like back in 2019, that wasn't the case. 2020, 2021, that wasn't the case. People didn't need 7 hours of content. They could watch a 30-minute, 60-minute webinar or VSL and bang, part with thousands of dollars. That is harder to do now, which would indicate that there is a lack of trust in the marketplace.
I just think there's so many more invisible cues in the buying process in today's world. There's so much more to it. It used to be go do a short form funnel, slap up a Facebook page if you don't have one, run ads to it. You can get leads and you can close them. And in today's world, I think these invisible or visible, as you would say, cues, such as the Instagram profile that has not just a lot of followers, but recently, just yesterday, I was speaking to a friend of mine who he runs a LinkedIn. He has a software, a SaaS business for LinkedIn automation, where he does some done for you stuff as well. So he also sells high ticket on these people. And he was talking about how one of the offers that he bought for his business just recently, he was looking at that he saw that some of his friends were also following that business that he bought from. So it's not just having a lot of followers, it's having people that you trust follow that business as well.
Yep.
So these internal circles and all these little cues that then make you say, oh yeah, this looks legit. This is somebody that I would want to buy from. Maybe also things like not even like just the quality of the content or how much content there is out there, but how long back does it go? Is this business around for a little while? And it doesn't matter. There's some businesses that you might want to buy from that are 6 months old or whatever, because they're just doing a crazy good thing. But generally you want to look back and be like, oh, how long has this business been posting, doing what they're doing?
Yep.
Or do you scroll back 6 months and then they were posting about a different niche and a different tool and a different whatever, and they're like, oh, these kind of things. And I think that is just getting so much more important in today's world, apart from your VSL.
I completely agree. I just don't think it matters which way you slice it. Marketing needs to do more of the heavy lifting for the sales team. Even if, let's just say, for sake of this argument, that there wasn't a dip in trust. Let's say that that wasn't a thing. If you don't have your marketing do more of the heavy lifting for your sales team, what you're essentially saying is that I'm going to rely on finding some absolute unicorn monster closer in order to come onto my offer to drag these super cold people who don't know who we are, don't know what we do, don't know how we help, don't know what our unique mechanism is, don't know why we're credible. I'm going to rely on them to get all of these people over the line. So I'm essentially putting my entire business's success on this one person. And just from experience, finding those top 1%ers is like trying to find rocking horse shit. Do you know what I mean? Because all of those top 1%ers aren't out in the marketplace looking for an offer. They're on an offer that's doing 3 million, 4 million, 5 million a month, and they're making 20, 30, 40K a month in commissions. So trying to pry them away from that offer onto an offer that's doing 50K, 60K is like, they're just like, no way am I going to leave that for this. So then what are you stuck with? You're stuck with the lower end of the scale. I want to be respectful to high ticket salespeople, but you're stuck with the lower end of the scale and trying to skill them up, trying to get them to be top 1%ers, which takes time and it takes work and effort and resources and all this stuff. It's not going to happen overnight. I just think it feels like a more daunting task to focus heavier on the marketing, doing the heavy lifting for you. But in actual fact, once you think about how difficult it is to teach somebody to sell at a really high level, like that's a hard task and it takes time. Way easier to focus on the marketing and get that to do the hard work for you. So then your business isn't in a stranglehold by trying to find this top 1% unicorn from somewhere.
Yeah, I think it goes even further than that. You're talking really respectfully now about the high ticket space and high ticket closers. I believe there is, and please, if you're listening to this, anyone, and you feel differently, leave it in the comments. But I believe there's not one single closer out there that has a proven track record. And by proven track record, I mean you've been closing on a high ticket offer for at least 6 months, closing at, let's say, more than industry standard was always 30%. Let's say you're closing at least 20% for the last 6 months after you've been ramped on an offer. So that means you're in the business for a year or 3/4 of a year, and you've been closing at 20% or more for the last 6 months. Anyone in that market will not take on a new offer that is not proven, where the founder, owner does not himself close at 30% or more for the last 6 months or whatever you want to take, and is just dippling around between 20, 30, 40, 50K a month, something like that, that you do not believe you can at least take home 10K. And this is just me listening to conversations with people. Just recently, I heard someone say, oh, I hired 2 new salespeople. And so I followed up and I started digging a little bit. What do you mean? Because I know that on his offer right now, he doesn't have 200 appointments a month. He had 40 appointments last month. So I was a little bit confused. And this is not, if he hears this, I'm not trying to be negative on him. I'm just on the industry as general. It's like, you had 40 appointments last month and you hired 2 new salespeople. And then I'm curious and I'm asking, what does that mean? Do you mean you're trying to give 2 people 40 appointments? Are they only working part-time for you? Are you going to stop closing? What exactly does that mean? Because for everyone listening, what I understand is when somebody hires a salesperson for a high ticket offer, I understand you're having plus 100 appointments, booked calls every single month. You're closing at 30% or more. That means if you have anything above a 5K offer, you're already making 100K plus a month. And you have the ability and the cash to easily add another 100 appointments, which may be 20, 30, 40 grand in ad spend, depending on what you're doing, unless you have a huge organic following, right? So you have no problem dropping another 40 grand in ads to ramp up another salesperson. 1. 2 would mean 80K in ads or whatever, and you could ramp up another 200 appointments for 2 salespeople. That's my understanding. So if somebody comes to me and he says, I hire 2 salespeople and last month I had 40 appointments. This month, I don't really know. I'm confused. And I ask myself, what does that really mean? And so then he tells me one of them is given his 2 weeks notice and he's phasing out of some kind of other job in another industry, in another niche, and he wants to get into sales. Okay.
Good luck with that.
And then exactly. And again, I'm not saying this to be negative on these kind of people with these situations. I'm just saying if you are an owner of any kind of high ticket business that you're trying to scale, right? Coach, consultant, marketing agency, whatever you may do, and you're trying to scale that, and maybe you look back at last month and you say, okay, you had 30 appointments. And then you look into the future, your only goal, and this is something I learned from Cole, by the way, all credit to Cole, love him for that, is like the first thing that we do is we go and we fix constraints. So we look at what is our total availability, which would be if I'm the founder, owner of the business, the coach, and I want to scale my business, even as a founder owner, I should have at least 80 appointments. And then you have another 40, like usually maybe you could say Somebody could take on 120 appointments, something like that, 100, right? And you can say, okay, if I take on 60, 70, 80 appointments, something like that, I might be maxed out because then I need to take care of marketing and all the other shit, run the ads and stuff like that if I'm doing everything by myself. That means you should be having, before you hire your first salesperson, you should be having 60 booked sales calls that showed up every single fucking month for at least a month, not a day like we do it in America. Oh yeah, I had 5 sales calls yesterday, so I need to hire 5 people. There's no, for a month, for 2 months, you have 60 plus sales calls that showed up and you're closing maybe in today's world, at least 10%, right? Fuck it, whatever. 6 of them. You should have closed 6 people at 5K, maybe 10, right? Somewhere in between, 50 minimum. And at that point, you're then, okay, now last month I had 60 appointments. The month before I had 50 appointments and I was closing on average 10 people. So I closed 10 the last month, then I closed another 10, which gave me 20 new clients at 5K. So I made 50K, then I made another 50K. And so now I've proven the thesis. I'm closing almost at 20%, maybe tweak the offer a little bit, start to think about hiring your first sales rep. Not somebody ideally that is being phasing out of some other job, ideally somebody that knows sales, because again, you're not corporate, you're doing everything on your own. So why would you want to hire somebody that doesn't know what they're doing? That's going to cause you more pain and harm than you could ever imagine.
Yep. As opposed to the flip of that is doubling down on the marketing, getting the marketing to do all of the hard work for you so that you don't need a unicorn closer, so that you can just have any old Joe Schmo on the phone and know that they can probably close at 20 or 25% just by having a nice conversation with people. But that's all to do with getting the marketing to do the heavy lifting as opposed to the sales team to do. I just think that there's a kind of thread of I can be lazy with my marketing. There'll be a ton of people out there that go, oh, I'm not lazy. I cycle my creatives every other week and I'm constantly tweaking the funnel. That's not lazy. No, it's not. But if you were to just double down on the type of content that actually creates conversions rather than just the type of content that gets leads, then you wouldn't constantly go through this pain and battle of I'm churning through closers. Now another closer's left. Now I need to hire more. Now I need to ramp. I need to train. Oh, they've gone as well. Now and they just stay in this perpetual loop of training, ramping, hiring. Now they're gone again. Train, ramp, hire, train, ramp, hire. And it's just, dude, why don't you flip the script on that and just make your marketing so that you don't need that pain anymore?
Dude, the new consensus by Facebook is like right now, it's like the AI is getting so good. You don't need any separate ad sets anymore for anything. You don't need tofu, mofu, bofu ad sets. Facebook figures that out on its own. Yep. You can throw everything into one ad set and Facebook will figure out, is this a retargeting ad? Is this an awareness ad? Is this something in the middle? And then it will decide automatically what to do and who to show what to. So it will then decide to show you an initial ad. The reason why this is so crazy good, and I think this might be worth talking about. Initially, what we would do on Facebook is we had different kinds of campaigns. Either we ran straight direct to offer, right? Sales objective, or a lot of the people within that 97% of people that don't want to buy right now, they need to get warmed up. What we talk about, organic content, which you can also do with ads. You can get people warmed up. You show them awareness ads and you show them a little bit more middle funnel. And eventually you hit them with the call to action and then you get them into the funnel and the close. And what Facebook does right now is you can put all of those ads into one bucket. So you can say, okay, here we have 10 awareness ads, 10 objection handling ads, 10 call to action ads, and 10 testimonial ads. And Facebook will then individually decide, the AI will say, oh, you look like you need a lot of warming up. So it will show you awareness ads till you're ready. And then for other people, it will be like, oh, you already know what's going on because I know you clicked on other offers and other things. I'm going to show you the bottom of funnel call to action ad directly, save a bunch of time and money and a bunch of ads that I don't need to show you and just show you the other ones. So it's insane. It's like now that all just goes away. And I love it because this is really important because a lot of people still approach me with all this targeting. Sebastian, can we target? I heard this thing and this detailed, whatever. It all goes away. Facebook is so fucking smart right now.
It's going to put media buyers out of business.
Completely. And I love this conversation because every day I have people asking me, Sebastian, can you teach me how to run ads? Can you help me run my ads? I want to learn how to do all the targeting and stuff. And we teach it to our clients within the marketing agency. We teach it in our coaching program, whatever. We talk about ads all the time. But my answer is always somehow like the people don't like it. I'm like, dude, You don't need to learn ads. The ads manager may seem complex, but that's not the problem. What you need to learn is consistency, hard work, pumping out fucking creatives that have ICP market fit every fucking week or every day. If you run an offer spending more than, I don't know, say 30 grand a month, you want to be pumping out creatives every 3 days. And you want to do so with every possible method that you can. Image, AI, real life, B-roll, podcast, whatever the fuck you can think of. Many people think there's some kind of, you need to be a super smart guy and, I don't know, Jason Wojo style, the tricks and the detailed targeting things in the ad set manager and stuff like that. No, you just need to set up one campaign, 2 ad sets, one learning and one scaling, broad targeting, and you throw in proper creatives that fit perfectly on your ICP a lot. If you're spending 10 a month on ads, throw in 10 new creatives every week or 5 new every week. AI, images, whatever, everything that I just said. Facebook will decide where to spend money on. It will take some of them, spend money on them because they're working. The ones that they don't spend money on, they're not working. You can turn those off, take the ones that work best, put them in the scaling campaign where you spend more money on the campaign. There's nothing more to it.
Tell me this then, dude, because you've run a shitload of ads in the past. I watched a video, may even have been this morning, by a dude who's a good marketer, ran an agency for some big names. And he was saying about not optimizing for leads and instead optimizing for a conversion event. What are your thoughts on that?
What's the difference?
So optimizing for a lead is to get somebody in the funnel. Optimizing for a conversion event is to get somebody to fill out your form, essentially.
Okay, so lead, because there's different definitions for it, right? You could say a lead is somebody that fills out my application form. For some people, that's a lead. That's why I'm asking. For other people, it's a lead is just an email. So it depends on how sophisticated or how detailed your source of lead is. And I think that depends on where you are right now in your business. I had this discussion with a client just yesterday because he said, Sebastian, I want to have more questions in my form. And I said, dude, more questions will increase the friction in the funnel and will ultimately make your leads cost way more. And they may be higher quality, but they will cost more. And maybe you don't even get any, right? Because there's too much friction and you're not spending enough money, which is a really important point, right? Many people get this confused. They're like, okay, I'm spending, I don't know, $100 a day. And then they add 20 questions into their funnel. And I'm like, dude, maybe the method that you're using right now costs you $2,500 per acquisition. And if you're not spending $2,500 in a reasonable amount of time, you will not get one single conversion. So usually you'd want to start with less friction, which might be just an email and a name, email name and phone number, whatever you want to do it without too many questions in order that you can prove your thesis, prove that you're even getting people onto the phone. From that point onwards, I completely agree. If you have enough money and you have enough capacity to optimize for conversion events, 100%. So for example, another client on the marketing agency side, they sell homes. This is a purchase from 150,000 upwards for smaller homes like the ADUs, the guest homes, all the way to multiple millions for the full-sized homes. And so I told that client the same thing. I said, if we have enough, for example, within Google Ads, within Facebook, it's also 15, but over a shorter period of time. Google is like the marathon. Facebook is like the sprint. Within Facebook, you got to have those 15 within a week to exit the learning. Within Google, you can have it over months. Obviously, within Google, then we'd want to optimize for actual closes or for a contract creation because we'll get like this, it's an 8-figure company. They're signing 2-3 deals a month over 4 or 5 months, we will reach those 15 conversion events on homes. And then we can optimize only for those. It's a way longer cycle, but it's way more detailed data. And in other times, it just doesn't make sense, right? Where you have, let's say you don't have enough, right? So for example, maybe they don't sell enough full-sized homes, like the $2-3 million homes in order to make sense for a conversion event, because it just takes years to get there. Maybe they only sell 2, 3, 4 of those a year or whatever it may be. And they don't get there. Same for Facebook. You'd want to make sure that these conversion events are happening frequently enough for Facebook to optimize for it. If you have 15 people closing a week, yes, optimize for conversions, 100%. If you only have 3 people closing a month, it doesn't make sense to optimize for conversions because Facebook will not know where to go after because they don't have enough frequency.
It was interesting to get your take because I just thought, okay, I've not heard somebody talk about that so openly before, but it's an interesting video, actually. I'll send it to you. He talks about how he's trying to increase his cost per lead. He's trying to increase his cost per book call. Do you know what I mean? He's not optimized. Like he creates so much friction in the funnel. And he says, yeah, that's deliberate because I don't want to waste my time speaking to people who are not my ICP. So I'm happy to pay $800, $900 per book call, knowing that person is in all likelihood going to show to the call. They're going to be hyper qualified. They're going to want what I sell, and I'm going to be able to close at a much higher rate. And so long as you've got a high enough package, you can afford to do that. And it's something that a lot of marketers talk about as well. They're like, dude, the last thing I want is cheap leads. I do not want cheap leads. I want to be able to afford to spend the most money I possibly can to acquire a client.
I think this conversation is so refreshing for every newbie, or not even newbie, everyone who's struggling a little bit out there and trying to figure out what to do next, because the internet is fucking flooded with, oh, my cost per book call is $50, $100, and I'm getting leads for $20 and whatever. And it's, dude, you don't want that shit. And we had that reality check with the calendar and everything. Yeah. And I think this is so unique for everyone. Every company out there has a unique situation. And the only thing that you need to know is that when you start running ads or you do content, the easiest way to get leads is the most broad approach. Run a meme that goes viral, right? You'll get a shit ton of leads. Will they be a good fit? Maybe not. Same goes for advertising. If you run a very top of funnel ad, are you a human being with 2 legs and a wallet? Do you want to make money online? I will show you how to do so with less than $1 down. I'll show you how to make $1 million tomorrow. That is an example of a very top of funnel, very broad ad. The issue with that is that you're speaking to literally everyone, and you're also speaking to people that are broke, literally everyone that doesn't want to spend more than $1.
Everybody that doesn't have more than $1.
So you get a shit ton of leads for less than $2, but these people will be broke. Well, probably the people that click on every fucking offer like that, and it's not going to be right for your business. So this is how many people start, and they get deceived into doing this. And then eventually you realize, okay, this is not going to work. So I need to increase friction in my copy, which is being more specific who you speak to. Maybe you're not speaking to everyone anymore, but you say, okay, I only want to speak to doctors. So you say doctors who have more than $1. Then you realize that those are the brokers. You say, okay, doctors, here, I have something for you, but it will be $300 to read whatever, to watch my video. And then you realize that you'll have doctors pay you $300 to watch a video. Suddenly you realize that these people may not cost $1 to acquire, maybe 200, but out of them, you'll close in your back and your 10K offer or whatever it is, right? Because they convert. And that's where just, I think every marketer, every business owner, every coach needs to wake up and needs to understand that these prices per lead, per call, per whatever, they're unique to your business, your advertising, what you want to do. And to just real quick, to answer the question that you said before, where you said this guy that wants very high quality leads, that is a situation where we're talking uniquely about your business. This guy, maybe he doesn't know how to close. Maybe he does. I don't know. I'm saying maybe he doesn't know how to close well, or he didn't want to hire a sales team, or he didn't want to hire setters, and he doesn't give a fuck about that. And he's, okay, I only want to speak to very high intent people, not want to waste so much of my time, and this is what I want to do. And that model fits for his business.
Yeah.
Somebody else may be really good at sales, may be really good at setting, and may have absolutely no issue giving everyone a call within 5 minutes, and may enjoy having less quality leads because he enjoys the banter of calling these people and closing them anyway because he's really good at it, and it works for him. And then maybe another guy is really good at managing a team, and he has a network of a bunch of setters and closers and teenagers that want to pick up the phone anyway. He's, okay, why don't we just increase the lead volume like hell, give all of these kids something to do all day and call these leads, give them a good script. And he's closing a shit ton of these people because maybe half of them are unqualified, but he's getting so much more volume in at a better cost because he has the ability to set them, to close them, to call them, which the other guy doesn't. And that is fine too, and will work really well too. The question is, where do you fall with your business? What do you want to do? And where do you want to place yourself? There's no right or wrong.
It's just a question of where are you at? What resources do you have available? Are you good at sales or bad at sales? Do you want the marketing to do the heavy lifting, or do you want to rely on sales because you've got some killer in the seat? Everything is so unique depending on where. And it's why cookie cutter marketing and cookie cutter funnels and cookie cutter ads, it's the reason why so many of them don't work. And somebody will funnel hack whoever, Russell Brunson or Alex Hormozi or Cole, or somebody will funnel hack them and then copy everything to a T and go, why doesn't my shit work? And it's, dude, because there's so many variables behind the scenes that you're not paying attention to. You can't just funnel hack somebody and expect it to take off and all of a sudden you're off to the races. Because maybe Cole's funnel works because he's got a bunch of killers on the phone and on Zoom, right? If you don't have that, you could do everything right up until that point, but then your close rate is trash. And all of a sudden you're like, I don't understand why it's not working. Dude, it's because you don't have his sales team. Like the funnel needs to be optimized for what you have. And I just think this is why so many people get burnt with agency that only do cookie cutter stuff. Here's a cookie cutter template. Here's a cookie cutter funnel. Fuck, good luck making that work.
And the ability to just get your fucking hands dirty, bro. It's like maybe Cole's closing at whatever, 40% and his ads are converting at X amount of dollars and whatever the fuck. And maybe that's because he has a killer sales team, because he has a huge fucking brand and brand equity, because he's been in the space for what, 6 years now?
Since 2018, started running a funnel, end of 2019?
But yeah, so that's what, 6, 7 years. And then, so we have 6, 7 years, which is a long time in today's day and age. We have a huge fucking brand equity. We have thousands of testimonials and case studies. And then we have a killer sales team. So maybe if you're starting out, you're making 20, 30K a month and, you know, it's just you and you're figuring shit out. Maybe it will take more effort. Maybe you will only close at 5%. Maybe you will have to do more content. Maybe you will have to spend more money per call to get these people to actually have a chance against if you're running the same offer, the same niche in the same business. That is just, yeah. And that is the same for everyone. Sometimes you just got to do things differently and go above and beyond to get a result that is easier for somebody else.
Yep. Totally agree.
See you in the next one.
See you next time.